Step into the world of forgotten flops with 7 crappy cars from the 1960s that only the thriftiest buyers dare to drive. These budget-friendly models may have been cheap, but they were notorious for weak engines, bland designs, and a tendency to break down. From lackluster styling to unreliable performance, these cars were anything but desirable. You won't believe these clunkers actually hit the road. The 1968 AMC Rebel occupies a unique and often controversial place in automotive history, embodying an era of American cars that strived to be affordable, yet struggled to keep pace with competitors in terms of style, performance, and reliability. American Motors Corporation, AMC, crafted the Rebel as a mid-size, budget-friendly option for everyday families, hoping it would appeal to those who wanted something practical without the hefty price tag attached to the glamorous muscle cars or sleek sedans of that era. However, this well-intentioned approach backfired in several ways, leading the Rebel to gain a reputation as one of AMC's less memorable, even crappy cars. The design problem: a car with zero spark. At the heart of the Rebel's struggle for appreciation was its exterior design, which many owners and enthusiasts found utterly forgettable. In the late 1960s, when car design was at its peak, the Rebel's look failed to inspire. Cars were no longer just transportation. They were expressions of personality, taste, and social status. Ford's Mustang, Chevrolet's Camaro, and Dodge's Charger were iconic designs, vibrant, powerful, and memorable. By contrast, the Rebel's aesthetic was utilitarian, almost corporate, with a boxy shape and very few distinctive features. AMC had chosen simplicity over flair, creating a car that many found to be devoid of character or spark. The design was straightforward but lacked the daring lines or bold accents that had become almost a prerequisite for cars of that period. The Rebel's flat surfaces, basic grille, and minimal chrome accents made it look closer to a fleet car than something a consumer would get excited to own. Owners often describe it as bland, boring, or even ugly, especially when lined up against the sleek and innovative designs from other automakers. To many, it felt as though AMC had simply cut corners to keep costs low, which might have made sense from a production standpoint, but left the Rebel visually uninspiring. Performance woes: the persistent issue of overheating. The Rebel's underwhelming design was compounded by significant mechanical problems, the most notorious of which was engine overheating. AMC equipped some Rebel models with its own V8 engines, hoping to give the car enough power to compete with higher-end rivals. However, these engines had a tendency to overheat, particularly under the demands of summer driving or extended trips. Even in urban settings, drivers would often find themselves pulled over, waiting for the engine to cool down. Many owners recount this overheating issue as the bane of their experience with the Rebel, describing it as not only inconvenient, but as a near-constant source of anxiety. Despite attempts to fix the problem, such as replacing radiators or adding cooling fans, the overheating issue was rarely solved entirely. The Rebel developed a reputation for unreliability, which was especially disappointing given that the car was intended for families who likely wanted something dependable and stress-free. The problem of overheating also led to frequent and sometimes costly repairs, which eroded whatever savings a family might have initially gained from purchasing a budget-friendly car. Some owners even recall moments of being stranded on the side of the road, an experience that left them regretting their purchase and feeling frustrated with AMC's apparent disregard for quality control. The situation reflected poorly on AMC, reinforcing the perception that the company was simply not in the same league as Ford, GM, or Chrysler. Interior disappointments: cheap materials and lack of comfort. The interior of the Rebel was equally disappointing, especially when compared to the more refined and comfortable cabins of competitors. In an attempt to keep manufacturing costs down, AMC opted for budget materials and a basic design, resulting in an interior that felt uninspired and, to some, downright uncomfortable. The door panels were made from plastic, the seats were hard and unsupportive, and the instrument cluster was as basic as it gets, with few amenities and little attention to aesthetics. For long drives, the Rebel could feel almost punishing. The seats provided minimal cushioning and hardly any support, making extended trips a test of endurance. Noise insulation was another area where AMC had economized, resulting in a cabin that was far from peaceful. The engine and road noise could easily penetrate the interior, making it difficult for passengers to enjoy a quiet ride. In many ways, the interior design echoed the exterior's lack of imagination. It was functional but completely unremarkable, leaving owners feeling like they had invested in a product with few redeeming qualities. The use of low-grade materials also meant that the Rebel's interior aged poorly. Owners recall the upholstery and plastic trim quickly showing signs of wear, with cracking and fading that only added to the perception of cheapness. The cabin had little of the charm or luxury found in other models of the era, and this left some owners feeling that the car was unattractive, not only on the outside but inside as well. Owners' recollections: the love-hate relationship with the Rebel. Despite all of these criticisms, the Rebel has surprisingly earned a certain level of affection over the years, perhaps more from nostalgia than from actual merit. Former owners often look back on the Rebel with a mix of frustration and fondness, remembering its flaws, but also appreciating its simple, no-nonsense approach to driving. The Rebel was never meant to be a superstar in the automotive world, but it did carve out a small niche among those who valued function over form. In an era defined by innovation and style, the Rebel represented the opposite: a practical, unadorned vehicle that might have fit better in a fleet lineup than a family driveway. For some, this gave the Rebel a kind of authenticity. It was, after all, a car that didn't pretend to be anything it wasn't. It wasn't flashy, fast, or luxurious. It was just a means of getting from point A to point B, albeit with occasional overheating on the way. To this day, the Rebel's legacy is a mixed one. It's not a collector's item like some of the more celebrated muscle cars of the 1960s, but it's remembered for being a true product of its time, a car that, while flawed, served a purpose. Some owners have even come to see its quirks and shortcomings as endearing, a reminder of an era when cars were simpler, if sometimes frustratingly so. In retrospect, a forgotten car with a lasting story. The 1968 AMC Rebel will likely never achieve legendary status in automotive history, but it holds a place in the hearts of those who experienced its unique blend of simplicity, budget constraints, and mechanical struggles. It stands as a reminder that not every car needs to be perfect to be remembered. Sometimes it's the flawed, ugly, and frustrating vehicles that stick with us the longest. The Rebel may not have been a game changer or an icon, but it's become a part of automotive folklore as a symbol of AMC's efforts to create an affordable midsize car in a time when flash and performance were everything. In its own modest, unassuming way, the 1968 Rebel has managed to endure in the memories of its owners, reminding us that cars, like people, are rarely perfect, but often unforgettable. The 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado is often remembered as a groundbreaking vehicle, particularly for its innovative front-wheel drive design, which was ahead of its time. However, despite its ambitious engineering, the first-generation Toronado also encountered numerous issues that overshadowed its technical achievements. Enthusiasts and critics alike have expressed their frustrations with this model, leading to its reputation as a car that, while pioneering, was ultimately plagued by a variety of mechanical shortcomings. The innovative yet flawed design. When the Toronado was unveiled, it represented a significant departure from traditional automotive design. It was one of the first mass-produced cars to feature a front-wheel drive layout, which Oldsmobile touted as a major advancement in automotive technology. This setup was intended to improve traction, especially in adverse weather conditions, and to free up interior space by eliminating the need for a drive shaft running to the rear wheels. In theory, this design offered benefits that would resonate with car buyers seeking practicality and performance. However, the reality of the Toronado's design proved to be more complicated. While the front-wheel drive configuration was innovative, it came with a host of mechanical challenges. The complexity of the system led to numerous reliability issues, particularly concerning the transmission and front axle. Many owners experienced difficulties with the Toronado's transmission, which was often criticized for being overly complicated and prone to failure. The 4-speed automatic transmission, while advanced for its time, frequently led to operational hiccups, leaving drivers frustrated with unpredictable shifts and at times complete breakdowns. Transmission troubles. A major downside. The transmission problems in the Toronado were a significant point of contention for many owners. Reports of harsh shifting and slipping gears were common, causing anxiety and distrust among drivers. These issues not only affected the driving experience but also led to costly repairs. For a car that was marketed as a luxurious and advanced vehicle, the frequent mechanical failures tarnished its reputation and left many owners questioning their purchase decisions. Additionally, the front axle presented its own set of challenges. With the weight of the engine resting on the front wheels, the Toronado's front axle was often strained under the pressure. This resulted in a host of issues ranging from excessive wear to alignment problems, which affected the car's overall handling and performance. Many owners found themselves dealing with a vehicle that was not only difficult to drive, but also required frequent maintenance, leading to an overall negative ownership experience. Handling and weight concerns. Another notable downside of the 1966 Toronado was its weight. While the innovative design aimed to provide better handling characteristics, the car's substantial mass often led to a heavy and cumbersome driving experience. Weighing in at over 4,000 pounds, the Toronado was a hefty vehicle, which contributed to its lackluster handling. Drivers reported that the car felt sluggish and unresponsive, particularly when navigating tight turns or making quick maneuvers. This heavy feel detracted from the sporty image Oldsmobile was trying to cultivate with the Toronado. It was designed to be a personal luxury coupe, yet many drivers felt that it lacked the agility and nimbleness typically associated with such vehicles. The handling problems, combined with the complex mechanical issues, resulted in a driving experience that was more frustrating than exhilarating. Rather than feeling like an advanced, sporty car, the Toronado often felt more like a burden on the road. Owner experiences a love-hate relationship. Despite its significant flaws, the 1966 Toronado did develop a sort of cult following among certain car enthusiasts. Some owners appreciated the car for its innovative design and luxurious features, seeing it as a unique piece of automotive history. The Toronado was equipped with a comfortable interior, plush seating, and a smooth ride, characteristics that appealed to many buyers in the luxury segment. For some, the Toronado represented an era of bold automotive design, and they cherished its distinctive looks and advanced technology, despite its many problems. However, the love for the Toronado was often tempered by the reality of ownership. Many enthusiasts shared stories of their frustrations with the vehicle, detailing the time and money spent on repairs and maintenance. While they admired the car's forward-thinking design, they could not ignore the numerous mechanical headaches that accompanied it. This love-hate relationship characterized the experience of many Toronado owners, who often felt torn between their appreciation for the car's innovative spirit and the practical challenges of daily driving. The legacy of the 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado. In retrospect, the 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado stands as an intriguing case study in automotive innovation. While it brought forth a new era of front-wheel drive technology and showcased Oldsmobile's ambition, it was ultimately hampered by a variety of mechanical issues that compromised its performance and reliability. The combination of transmission troubles, axle problems, and heavy handling led to a car that, while groundbreaking, struggled to live up to the expectations set by its innovative design. Today, the Toronado is often remembered with a mix of admiration and caution. It serves as a reminder of the complexities of automotive engineering and the challenges that can arise when trying to push the boundaries of design. While it may not have achieved the lasting success of some of its contemporaries, the 1966 Toronado remains a notable chapter in the story of American automobiles. A car that was both ahead of its time and a cautionary tale of innovation gone awry. For collectors and enthusiasts, it represents a unique blend of ambition and imperfection, encapsulating an era where design and engineering sometimes outpaced reliability. The 1969 Ford Thunderbird Landau represents a significant turning point in the storied history of this iconic American automobile. Originally introduced as a luxurious personal coupe in the 1950s, the Thunderbird quickly became a symbol of style, power, and innovation. However, by the late 1960s, particularly with the release of the 1969 Landau model, the Thunderbird had undergone substantial changes that led to a less favorable reception among critics and enthusiasts alike. With its increased size, decreased performance, and polarizing styling, the 1969 Thunderbird Landau often finds itself on the receiving end of criticism, despite its once proud legacy. The size dilemma: bigger but not better. One of the most noticeable changes with the 1969 Thunderbird was its size. The car had grown larger and heavier compared to its predecessors, which had been celebrated for their sleek, sporty profiles. While the idea of a larger vehicle may have appealed to some buyers looking for more interior space and comfort, the increased weight came at a cost. Many enthusiasts and critics noted that the Thunderbird's handling suffered significantly as a result of its bulk. The once nimble personal coupe now felt cumbersome and less responsive, diminishing the excitement that earlier models had provided. The added weight affected not only the handling, but also the performance of the Thunderbird. Equipped with a powerful V8 engine, the earlier Thunderbirds were known for their spirited driving experiences. However, by 1969, the heavier chassis combined with the engine's power made for a less exhilarating ride. Acceleration felt sluggish, and the car struggled to deliver the same level of performance that had defined its earlier iterations. Many longtime fans of the Thunderbird lamented that it had strayed from its roots as a sporty luxury vehicle, becoming more of a large cruiser than a performance-oriented coupe. Styling controversies. The Landau look. Styling is often a deeply subjective aspect of any vehicle, and the 1969 Thunderbird Landau was no exception. The Landau models were characterized by distinctive features, such as a vinyl roof and a more pronounced rear end, which some critics found unattractive. Many owners and enthusiasts expressed disappointment with the design choices, arguing that they deviated too far from the Thunderbird's original elegance and sporty demeanor. The exterior styling was seen as excessive and bulky, leading to complaints that it lacked the finesse and flair that had made earlier Thunderbirds so desirable. Furthermore, the styling elements introduced in the Landau models, like the faux Landau bars along the rear window, were viewed by some as an attempt to evoke a sense of luxury that felt forced or out of place. The overall aesthetic of the 1969 Thunderbird Landau seemed to prioritize size and presence over sleekness and sophistication, which alienated many traditional Thunderbird fans. Rather than celebrating the car's heritage, the design choices appeared to signal a departure from the very qualities that had made the Thunderbird a coveted automobile. Performance drop, a disappointing experience. As previously mentioned, one of the critical criticisms of the 1969 Thunderbird Landau was its performance. The combination of increased weight and diminished handling capabilities made for a driving experience that many found underwhelming. While the car was equipped with a range of powerful V8 engines, including options that had once delivered thrilling acceleration, the reality of driving the Landau was often far from exhilarating. Owners noted that the car felt heavy and unresponsive, particularly during cornering and maneuvering. The once dynamic feel of the Thunderbird was lost, replaced by a sluggishness that detracted from the overall enjoyment of driving. This decline in performance was a significant disappointment for those who had come to expect a certain level of excitement from the Thunderbird nameplate. For a car that had once been a symbol of American automotive prowess, the 1969 model felt like a shadow of its former self. Owner reactions, a love-hate relationship. Interestingly, despite the criticisms, the 1969 Thunderbird Landau still attracted a segment of the market that appreciated its luxurious appointments and spacious interior. For some buyers, the car represented comfort and a smooth ride, with ample room for passengers and a host of amenities. The interior was plush, featuring comfortable seating and a range of options that catered to a more laid-back driving experience. However, this love for the car was often tempered by frustration over its performance shortcomings. Many owners found themselves grappling with the reality that they were driving a vehicle that, while luxurious and spacious, lacked the spirited performance they had come to expect from a Thunderbird. This created a complicated relationship between the car and its owners, who admired its comfort yet longed for the exhilarating experience of earlier models. The legacy of the 1969 Ford Thunderbird Landau. In hindsight, the 1969 Ford Thunderbird Landau is often viewed as a crucial juncture in the Thunderbird's history, a model that represented both the ambition to innovate and the risks of straying too far from what made the car great. While it introduced features and styling elements that appealed to a specific audience, it ultimately fell short of the performance and driving excitement that had once defined the Thunderbird legacy. The 1969 model serves as a reminder of how easily a classic can lose its way amid changing market demands and evolving consumer preferences. While it may not hold the same revered status as its predecessors, it remains a fascinating chapter in the Thunderbird story, one that reflects the complexities of automotive design, market pressures, and the delicate balance between luxury and performance. As collectors and enthusiasts reflect on the Thunderbird's evolution, the 1969 Landau stands out as a symbol of both ambition and miscalculation, representing a time when a classic nameplate grappled with the challenge of staying relevant in an ever-changing automotive landscape. The legacy of the 1969 Thunderbird Landau may be one of caution and reflection, but it also highlights the enduring allure of the Thunderbird brand, even as it faced its most challenging era. The 1963 Chevrolet Chevy II, introduced as an affordable compact car, was designed to serve as Chevrolet's answer to the wildly successful Ford Falcon. Conceived under significant pressure from Chevrolet's executives to create a practical, no-nonsense car that could quickly hit the market, the Chevy II was a straightforward, budget-friendly vehicle with minimal frills. Unfortunately, this rush to produce a competitor led to a car that, while functional, suffered from significant issues. The 1963 Chevy II is often remembered for its bare-bones design, lackluster performance, and numerous reliability problems, particularly in the base models. For all its practical intentions, the Chevy II's debut left much to be desired. The bare-bones design, a lesson in minimalism. Chevrolet built the Chevy II with simplicity in mind, but this approach resulted in a car that felt stripped down, even by 1960s standards. In an era when many vehicles offered distinct design elements, sleek lines, and chrome accents, the Chevy II's aesthetic was practical but uninspired. The exterior was boxy and straightforward, lacking the appeal of even some of Chevrolet's own models like the Impala or Corvette. Chevrolet focused on utility rather than style, and it showed. Many critics and consumers found the design dull, and in some cases, bordering on unattractive. Inside, the car was similarly Spartan. Chevrolet kept the interior basic to keep costs down, so the materials used were cheap and unrefined. The seats were uncomfortable for extended trips, the dashboard had minimal features, and amenities were few. There was little in the way of sound insulation, which amplified the car's already significant road noise. For drivers who were simply looking for affordable transportation, this might have been acceptable, but for those hoping for a bit more comfort or refinement, the Chevy II was a disappointment. Underwhelming powertrain, engines that struggled. One of the biggest drawbacks of the 1963 Chevy II was its weak engine lineup, especially in the base models. Chevrolet equipped the Chevy II with a modest 153 cubic inch inline-4 engine as the standard option, producing only 90 horsepower, a power output that, even for a compact car, left much to be desired. The lack of power was particularly noticeable when compared to competitors like the Ford Falcon, which offered slightly more robust engine options. The base Chevy II was sluggish, especially when accelerating onto highways or climbing hills, making the car feel underpowered and uninspiring to drive. Chevrolet did offer an optional 194 cubic inch inline-6 engine with 120 horsepower, which provided a slight improvement in performance. However, even this engine was not enough to turn the Chevy II into an enjoyable vehicle to drive. For many drivers, especially those looking for a bit of pep, the Chevy II's powertrain options fell short. The lack of performance made the car feel like a step backward in an era when even budget cars were starting to offer more spirited engines. Reliability problems, a frequent source of frustration. Reliability issues plagued the early Chevy II models, particularly the base versions. The car was known for frequent mechanical issues, especially with its engine and transmission. Many owners reported problems with the four-cylinder engine, which despite its simplicity, was prone to oil leaks, stalling, and overheating. The engine's performance declined quickly, and owners often found themselves returning to the mechanic for repairs that seemed never-ending. Given that the Chevy II was marketed as a reliable, budget-friendly vehicle, these frequent breakdowns left a sour taste for many buyers. The transmission, too, was a source of frustration. The standard 3-speed manual was unrefined, and shifting could feel clunky and unpredictable. Even the optional Powerglide automatic transmission, despite being a 2-speed design that Chevrolet used in other models, struggled to provide a smooth and reliable experience in the Chevy II. The lack of refinement and the frequent repairs became a common complaint, undermining the car's reputation as an affordable yet dependable choice. A noisy ride, lacking comfort and refinement. Driving the 1963 Chevy II was often a noisy and uncomfortable experience. Chevrolet's decision to keep the design minimal extended to sound insulation, which was virtually non-existent. The road noise, engine noise, and even the rattles from the car's undercarriage were all too audible inside the cabin. For drivers and passengers alike, this made for an unpleasant ride, particularly on longer trips or rougher roads. Many owners described the experience as feeling like riding in a tin can, as the noise level inside was so high that conversations were difficult, and the general ride quality was rough and unrefined. The lack of sound insulation wasn't just about comfort either. It contributed to an overall sense that the car was cheaply made. While some budget cars of the time still managed to offer a relatively quiet ride, the Chevy II failed in this regard, making it feel even more low-end. The suspension was another weak point, as it offered minimal shock absorption, adding to the uncomfortable ride. For a car that was marketed as practical and economical, these compromises made the experience of driving it far from enjoyable. Owner sentiments, mixed feelings toward a budget car. Despite all these drawbacks, the Chevy II did find an audience, largely among those who valued its affordability and practicality over performance or comfort. Some owners appreciated the simplicity of the Chevy II because it was easy to work on, and parts were inexpensive and readily available. In the hands of resourceful owners, the Chevy II could be kept running relatively cheaply, and its compact size made it ideal for urban environments where maneuverability and fuel efficiency were more important than power or luxury. However, for many, the Chevy II remained a source of frustration and disappointment. Owners who purchased the car hoping for a reliable and economical daily driver often found themselves spending more time and money on repairs than they had anticipated. The car's numerous issues, combined with its lack of amenities and uncomfortable ride, left a lasting impression. Many former owners recall the Chevy II as a vehicle that was, at best, a temporary solution, rather than a car they genuinely loved. The legacy of the 1963 Chevrolet Chevy II. The 1963 Chevy II occupies an interesting space in automotive history. While it failed to make a mark as a particularly exciting or desirable vehicle, it nonetheless holds a place in Chevrolet's lineup as an attempt to provide a practical alternative in the compact segment. Its shortcomings serve as a reminder of the challenges faced by automakers trying to quickly enter a new market without fully addressing the demands of potential buyers. In the long run, the Chevy II did evolve, eventually becoming the Nova, a model that would go on to find more success and a better reputation. The Nova of the late 1960s and early 1970s corrected many of the early Chevy II's mistakes, offering more powerful engines, improved reliability, and better styling. For some, the Chevy II's legacy is less about what it achieved and more about the lessons learned from its flaws, a testament to the idea that sometimes even the least loved cars can pave the way for future improvements. In retrospect, The 1963 Chevy II stands as an emblem of practicality taken to an extreme, stripped of the comforts and refinements that make a car enjoyable. While it may not be remembered fondly by many, it is a crucial part of Chevrolet's story, serving as a stepping stone in the company's journey to develop more appealing compact cars in the years that followed. The 1960 Ford Falcon was Ford's first foray into the compact economy car market, designed to be an affordable and efficient option for budget-conscious buyers. Released at a time when American consumers were becoming more interested in economical cars due to rising fuel costs, the Falcon aimed to fill the gap left by Ford's larger, fuel-hungry models. Unfortunately, while the Falcon was successful in meeting the basic needs of many buyers, it had numerous drawbacks that left much to be desired. Bland styling, a lack of power, significant rust problems, and stiff competition made the 1960 Falcon fall short of becoming a memorable or beloved vehicle. Bland styling, a lack of character. From a design perspective, the 1960 Falcon was underwhelming. Ford took a conservative approach, favoring function over flair, resulting in a car that was unmistakably plain. While the Falcon's simple styling may have appealed to some buyers who valued practicality over aesthetics, many found it unexciting. At a time when cars like the Chevrolet Corvair and Plymouth Valiant were hitting the market with more distinctive looks, the Falcon's unassuming appearance left it lagging in appeal. The car's lack of visual interest, boxy proportions, minimal chrome accents, and generic lines made it easy to overlook, even when it was new. Moreover, this simplicity extended to the interior as well. Ford outfitted the Falcon with a bare-bones interior to keep costs down, resulting in an environment that felt basic and utilitarian. The dashboard was sparse, the materials were far from luxurious, and the overall feel was one of minimalism taken to an extreme. While some buyers may have appreciated the no-frills approach, others found it disappointing. The Falcon's basic design gave it a practical feel, but at the expense of the style and flair that many Americans expected in their cars. An underpowered engine. Practicality, but no excitement. The Falcon's engine was another major drawback. Equipped with a small 144 cubic inch inline-six engine that produced only around 90 horsepower, the Falcon's power output was modest, to say the least. This underpowered engine meant that the Falcon struggled to provide any real excitement on the road. Acceleration was sluggish, especially when carrying multiple passengers or climbing hills, making the car feel lackluster and unresponsive. The lack of power was especially evident when compared to some of its competitors, which offered more robust engines for similarly priced models. The Falcon's modest powertrain also limited its appeal to drivers who might have otherwise been interested in an affordable but fun-to-drive car. Instead, the Falcon was decidedly utilitarian, focusing strictly on basic transportation. The car's engineers had sacrificed performance to achieve better fuel efficiency, which, while sensible, led to a driving experience that many owners found dull and uninspiring. While the Falcon was fuel efficient, it came at the cost of any real driving pleasure, leaving owners wanting more. Rust problems, a persistent issue. One of the most significant issues with the 1960 Ford Falcon was its tendency to rust, which became a major source of frustration for owners. Many early Falcons developed rust problems within just a few years of ownership, particularly in the undercarriage, wheel wells, and door panels. This issue was exacerbated in regions with harsh winters or high humidity, where the car's body panels and frame would often corrode rapidly. For a car that was intended to be an affordable, long-lasting vehicle, these rust issues were a major flaw that undermined its reputation for reliability. Owners quickly found that the rust issues were not simply cosmetic. In many cases, the structural integrity of the car was compromised. The rust made routine maintenance and repairs more difficult and expensive, as the affected areas were often challenging to access and required frequent replacement. For a car marketed as economical, the ongoing cost of addressing rust problems became a significant burden for many owners, leading to dissatisfaction and a sense that the Falcon was not built to last. Competitive disadvantages, the struggle against rivals. The 1960 Falcon entered a crowded market of economy cars, where competition was fierce. Vehicles like the Chevrolet Corvair and the Rambler American offered unique styling, more robust engine options, and in some cases, better handling. The Corvair, for example, featured a rear-engine layout and a more distinctive design, while the Rambler American offered a reputation for reliability and durability. In contrast, the Falcon's lack of innovation and performance made it harder to stand out among these competitors. The Falcon was indeed priced competitively, and Ford made efforts to market it as a sensible choice for families looking to save on fuel. However, it often struggled to provide enough appeal beyond its initial low price. Buyers who wanted more than just basic transportation often found themselves looking elsewhere. The Falcon's conservative approach, while economical, lacked the novelty and uniqueness that many buyers desired, making it a more difficult sell in a market where rivals offered additional features or bolder styling. Owner reactions. Practicality over passion. For some buyers, the Falcon's bare-bones approach was not a deal-breaker. Those who prioritize fuel efficiency and low maintenance costs above all else found the car sufficient for their needs. The Falcon served as an economical and dependable option for drivers who only needed a simple means of transportation. Families and budget-conscious individuals often appreciated the straightforward, no-nonsense design, and the car's modest size made it easy to handle in urban environments. However, even among practical-minded owners, there were complaints. The Falcon's tendency to rust in its underpowered engine left many feeling that Ford could have done better. For a car that was supposed to be affordable and practical, the added expenses associated with rust repairs and the disappointment in its lack of power tarnished its image. For many owners, the Falcon was a car they tolerated rather than cherished, a practical choice rather than a vehicle they felt any strong connection to. The legacy of the 1960 Ford Falcon. Despite its drawbacks, the 1960 Ford Falcon did play an important role in American automotive history. It demonstrated that there was a viable market for compact economy cars in the United States, and it helped Ford gain valuable insight into the needs and desires of budget-conscious consumers. The Falcon's platform would later serve as the basis for the Ford Mustang, a car that would go on to become a cultural icon and redefine American automotive design. In this sense, the Falcon laid the groundwork for one of Ford's most successful ventures, even if it was itself an unremarkable vehicle. In retrospect, the Falcon is remembered as a car that did what it needed to do but failed to inspire. It was economical, but that came at the expense of excitement, comfort, and longevity. For enthusiasts, the Falcon is often viewed as a stepping stone, a model that represented Ford's initial conservative response to the demand for compact cars, but one that was quickly eclipsed by more exciting models. While the Falcon might not have been beloved in its own time, it set the stage for Ford's later success in the compact and performance car segments, securing its place, albeit modestly, in automotive history. The 1967 Cadillac Eldorado was a bold step for Cadillac, representing the company's first foray into front-wheel drive technology in a high-end luxury coupe. This revolutionary design, combined with Cadillac's hallmark elegance and refinement, made the 1967 Eldorado one of the most distinctive luxury cars of its time. Sleek, stylish, and filled with high-end features, the Eldorado appeared to be Cadillac's statement piece, a car meant to embody American luxury and engineering prowess. However, the new front-wheel drive layout and various reliability issues meant that the car ultimately faced substantial criticism, leaving many owners with a love-hate relationship with this iconic vehicle. Thriftiest, front-wheel drive, innovative but flawed. One of the most notable aspects of the 1967 Eldorado was its front-wheel drive layout, which was a rarity among American luxury cars at the time. Cadillac borrowed the technology from the Oldsmobile Toronado, but the Eldorado's larger engine and additional weight presented unique challenges. The Eldorado was equipped with a 429 cubic inch V8 engine that produced 340 horsepower, a formidable power plant for any car. However, pairing this powerful engine with a front-wheel drive setup led to issues in handling and reliability. The front-wheel drive system was intended to improve traction and handling, especially in poor weather, but it introduced torque steer, where the steering wheel would pull to one side under acceleration. For a luxury vehicle, this sensation was jarring and inconsistent with Cadillac's reputation for smooth, composed driving. Drivers found it disconcerting and challenging to keep the car in a straight line when accelerating, particularly given the power of the engine. Cadillac owners, used to the calm and effortless experience provided by the brand's traditional rear-wheel drive models, often found this aspect of the Eldorado's driving dynamics to be a drawback rather than an advantage. Structure. High maintenance requirements, a mechanic's puzzle. Maintaining a 1967 Eldorado was no small feat. The front-wheel drive system added a layer of complexity that made repairs and maintenance more challenging, particularly for mechanics who were unfamiliar with the layout. The transmission, engine, and drive components were tightly packed under the hood, leaving limited space to access critical parts. Routine tasks like changing the timing chain or replacing components in the drivetrain required significant labor, which drove up maintenance costs. Cadillac owners, who typically valued luxury and ease of ownership, found the increased costs and complexity frustrating. Moreover, the front-wheel drive transmission itself, the THM425, was a complicated piece of machinery that was prone to issues over time. The transmission often required frequent adjustments and repairs, and some components wore down faster than anticipated. When problems did arise, repairs were costly and parts were not always readily available. This led to a perception that the Eldorado, despite its high price, was not as dependable as one might expect from Cadillac's flagship model. Servicio. Unreliable over time, age was not kind. While the Eldorado's mechanical issues might not have been immediately apparent to new buyers, many owners soon discovered that the car's reliability diminished over time. The powerful V8 engine, while impressive, was known to develop oil leaks as it aged, and the front-wheel drive components wore down faster than the more durable rear-wheel drive systems Cadillac had previously produced. As the miles added up, Eldorado owners often reported issues with the suspension, electrical systems, and various engine components, all of which chipped away at the car's initial allure. The front-wheel drive setup also had durability issues under heavy use. The Eldorado was a large, heavy car, and the front drive system struggled to withstand the weight and power over long periods. This led to premature wear on the front axle and suspension components, which added to the car's reputation for high maintenance costs and frequent breakdowns. Given the vehicle's premium price, these issues left many owners feeling that the Eldorado's reliability didn't match the luxury experience it promised. High price, questionable value. Cadillac priced the 1967 Eldorado as a premium vehicle, aimed at discerning buyers who wanted the best of American luxury. However, the high price tag didn't quite equate to the dependability and ease of ownership that many Cadillac customers expected. For a car that cost substantially more than other models in Cadillac's lineup, the Eldorado's issues made some owners feel like they weren't getting the quality they paid for. Despite its attractive design and advanced technology, the Eldorado's mechanical issues made it feel less valuable over time. Luxury buyers tended to expect not just elegance and comfort, but also reliability and ease of maintenance. With the Eldorado, Cadillac seemed to have sacrificed some of these core values in the pursuit of innovation, which left some buyers disappointed. The perception that the car was unreliable tarnished its reputation, leading to mixed opinions about whether it was truly worth its price. Polarizing styling, beauty in the eye of the beholder. While not a direct drawback, it's worth noting that the 1967 Eldorado's styling was polarizing. Cadillac had designed it with sharp, angular lines that departed from the rounded, chrome-heavy look that had defined the brand in previous years. The new design featured a long hood, short rear deck, and a roofline that made the Eldorado appear sportier and more aggressive than other Cadillac models. For some, this was a bold and exciting evolution. For others, it felt out of step with Cadillac's tradition of grand flowing lines. The distinctive design made the Eldorado stand out, but it also clashed with the expectations of some traditional Cadillac buyers, who found the look to be more muscle car than luxury cruiser. While some buyers appreciated the change, the styling ultimately didn't do enough to overcome the reliability and maintenance challenges the car presented. Owner sentiments, a mixed bag of admiration and frustration. The 1967 Cadillac Eldorado holds a unique place in the hearts of its owners. Those who valued innovation and style often loved their Eldorados for their striking design and technological ambition. The car had a strong road presence, and the interior was filled with luxury touches that made it a pleasant place to spend time. However, many of these same owners also expressed frustration with the car's mechanical problems, maintenance costs, and the struggles associated with the front-wheel drive layout. For Cadillac purists who were accustomed to the smooth, reliable performance of rear-wheel drive models, the Eldorado was often seen as a disappointment. The brand's traditional image of reliable luxury was tarnished, as the car seemed to require more attention and upkeep than other Cadillacs of the era. Many owners found themselves in a love-hate relationship with their Eldorados, appreciating the car's elegance and innovation, but feeling let down by its lack of dependability. The legacy of the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado. In the long run, the 1967 Cadillac Eldorado remains an intriguing chapter in Cadillac's history. It was a vehicle that pushed boundaries and sought to redefine what a luxury car could be. The car's front-wheel drive layout, while problematic, was a pioneering move that demonstrated Cadillac's willingness to innovate and adapt to new automotive trends. Despite its issues, the Eldorado laid the groundwork for future front-wheel drive luxury cars, and Cadillac would continue to refine and improve on this technology in later years. The 1967 Eldorado is now often remembered as a collector's item, admired for its bold styling and unique place in the evolution of American luxury cars. While it may have been plagued by maintenance challenges and reliability issues, the Eldorado captured the spirit of an era when Cadillac dared to try something new, even at the risk of alienating some of its loyal customers. For all its flaws, the 1967 Eldorado has achieved a lasting legacy as a car that symbolized the ambitious, sometimes imperfect pursuit of luxury and innovation. The 1962 Dodge Dart stands out in automotive history as a model that managed to be both unique and polarizing. While Dodge had seen a success with the Dart in prior years, the 1962 model took a radical turn in both styling and design choices, leading to mixed reviews from buyers and critics alike. The quirky design, limited engine performance, and ongoing reliability issues ultimately undermined what Dodge had hoped would be a solid entry in the midsize market. While some may now appreciate the 1962 Dart for its unconventional character, many owners found it to be more of a headache than a delight. Toronado. Odd styling choices, unconventional and polarizing. The 1962 Dart was a sharp deviation from Dodge's previous design language. Dodge embraced a futuristic, almost space-age aesthetic, incorporating bold and unusual lines that felt, to some, more like a design experiment than a fully realized vision. The Dart's front end featured a peculiar, slanted grille, paired with a set of headlights placed lower than traditional models. This gave the car a droopy look that some buyers found off-putting. The rear was also distinctive, with jet-inspired taillights housed in round housings that protruded from the body, and fins that had started to feel outdated by the early 1960s. Adding to the visual complexity was a range of unusual color choices. Dodge offered the Dart in several unconventional hues, including pastel tones and bright shades that contrasted sharply with the more subdued colors popular in that era. While Dodge likely intended these choices to set the Dart apart, the result was a car that didn't resonate with mainstream buyers. Many customers viewed the styling as overly eccentric and even unattractive. Dodge's ambitious design choices may have been bold, but they left the Dart with an aesthetic that felt confused, making it difficult for the car to fit into the broader automotive landscape. Sluggish engines, a lackluster performance. In addition to its polarizing looks, the 1962 Dart struggled to deliver the kind of power and performance buyers expected from a Dodge. The car came with a selection of engines, including the base Slant 6, which was underpowered for the Dart's weight and size. Producing just around 145 horsepower, The engine gave the Dart a slow, lackluster performance, especially when carrying passengers or cargo. Acceleration was unimpressive, and the engine often felt strained when pushed, making the driving experience feel less spirited and more utilitarian than many drivers preferred. The optional V8 engines provided a slight improvement in power, but they were not without their issues either. The larger engines added weight to the already hefty Dart, which impacted handling and fuel efficiency. The V8 models also had a reputation for being thirsty at the pump, which was a drawback as fuel efficiency was becoming a consideration for buyers in the early 60s. Additionally, the Dart's sluggish performance made it less competitive compared to other cars in the midsize segment, where buyers could find more robust options without sacrificing style or reliability. Reliability concerns. A rocky ownership experience. The 1962 Dart didn't just disappoint in terms of styling and performance, it also struggled with reliability. Many owners reported issues with the car's transmission, particularly with the push-button automatic, a novel feature at the time. While push-button transmissions were intended to be a modern, convenient alternative to traditional column shifters, they proved to be finicky and prone to malfunction. Owners frequently reported problems with the button sticking or failing to engage the gears properly, leading to frustrating repair visits. The Dart's electrical system was another point of contention, as various components would fail prematurely, from headlights and turn signals to interior lights. These seemingly minor issues compounded over time, leading to a reputation for the Dart as a car that required constant attention to keep running smoothly. Rust was another issue, particularly in regions with high humidity or salted winter roads. The Dart's body panels and undercarriage were prone to corrosion, which significantly shortened the vehicle's lifespan for many owners. For a car marketed as an affordable family option, these ongoing reliability concerns made the Dart a source of frustration for those who had hoped for dependable transportation. Marine. Competing models. A tough market. The early 1960s saw fierce competition in the midsize segment, and the Dart faced strong rivals from both Ford and Chevrolet. The Ford Fairlane and the Chevrolet Bel Air offered more refined designs, better reliability, and often more powerful engines at similar price points. These cars were also better received by the public, offering a balance of practicality, style, and performance that Dodge's quirky design couldn't quite match. While Dodge aimed to carve out a unique identity for the Dart, the unusual styling and performance limitations left it overshadowed by competitors that were seen as more versatile and reliable. Ford and Chevrolet's offerings had more conservative styling, which resonated well with buyers of the time, who favored familiar looks over Dodge's experimental aesthetic. Ultimately, this competitive landscape made it difficult for the Dart to gain traction, and Dodge struggled to find an audience willing to embrace its unique, if flawed, approach. Owner reactions. Disappointment and regret. For many owners, the 1962 Dodge Dart was a car they wanted to like, but struggled to enjoy. The Dart's unconventional design and unique features initially attracted buyers interested in something different, but these qualities quickly became points of frustration. Owners frequently expressed dissatisfaction with the Dart's performance, feeling that the sluggish engine and frequent mechanical problems didn't justify the car's price. For a brand like Dodge, known for producing powerful, reliable vehicles, the Dart felt like a departure from tradition in all the wrong ways. Those who had hoped the Dart would be a dependable family vehicle found themselves facing higher than expected maintenance costs and a constant need for repairs. The push-button transmission, meant to be a convenient innovation, became a symbol of the Dart's unreliability, leading some owners to describe their ownership experience as a series of quirky disappointments. The Dart's odd styling, initially a point of interest, often became a source of embarrassment for owners, who felt that the car's unconventional look didn't age well. The car's uniqueness, once a selling point, became a symbol of why it was out of step with what most buyers wanted. The legacy of the 1962 Dodge Dart today. The 1962 Dodge Dart occupies an interesting, if modest, place in automotive history. The Dart serves as a reminder of Dodge's willingness to experiment with styling and technology, even if those experiments didn't always succeed. For collectors and enthusiasts, the 1962 Dart's unusual look and design quirks give it a certain nostalgic charm. However, for those who owned the car when it was new, the Dart is often remembered as a vehicle that tried too hard to be different without delivering the quality, performance, or dependability that Dodge buyers expected. While the Dart's legacy is mixed, it's also a testament to an era when automakers were pushing boundaries and taking risks, albeit sometimes at the expense of long-term satisfaction. The 1962 Dodge Dart may not have been a commercial or critical success, but it remains an example of the bold choices that defined the American automotive landscape in the 1960s. As quirky as it may have been, the Dart left its mark, if not as a celebrated classic, then as a curious piece of automotive history that reflected both the creativity and the pitfalls of its time.